Thank you. Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Stoner, where did you grow up? What part of the country?
I'm from Waynesboro, Virginia.
Virginia, okay. Well, unfortunately, where you grew up, you were not like 30 other states in this country that make up the Mississippi River Basin, and that when all of those people in the majority of those states, when they flush their toilet, it eventually makes its way down through Louisiana. And the question I have for you is pretty simple. Why are you imposing on the state of Louisiana the sole responsibility for the effects of everyone else in the country, or at least in 30 other states, when they flush their toilet, that we got to be responsible for what makes its way down the Mississippi River?
That's actually not what we're doing, Congressman. So the situation with Louisiana and the dissolved oxygen standard, that we listed certain coastal waters in Louisiana as not meeting their dissolved oxygen standard, oxygen, of course, being important for fish to be able to breathe. That impairment only needs to be addressed by Louisiana in terms of discharges into the state of Louisiana. They are not responsible for upstream loads.
But how are you going to differentiate? Because those water bodies that you are placing that rule on are impacted by the Mississippi River.
Absolutely, the Mississippi River Basin all flows down to Louisiana.
Are we going to be able to pull a sample and say, nah, this didn't come from Louisiana?
There is monitoring that's done, loading analysis that's done.
So you can tell which toilet it comes out of? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, the USGS does a really fine job in determining where loads are coming from, and Louisiana is not responsible for addressing loads that come from outside that state in responding to the impairment of dissolved oxygen along its coastal waters that impact its resources.
But you're agreeing that these water bodies are impaired by pollution coming down the Mississippi River. You're agreeing with those comments, correct?
Absolutely, particularly the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico.
But you proceeded on listing these water bodies.
The water bodies are listed not based on where the pollution comes from. A listing has to do with whether or not the water body meets the water quality standards set by the state based on the use of those
But if other states are impacting the water quality in those water bodies, why are you holding our state solely responsible?
Again, we're actually not holding Louisiana
but that's
responsible.
not what they're telling me in Louisiana. Okay, I mean, would you mind sending me a letter to that effect in that statement stating, so I can send it over to my governor and get it over to our farmers and saying, listen, EPA is not going to hold the state of Louisiana solely responsible for the impact in those water bodies, because that is exactly what you're saying. Would you mind giving me that in writing so I could pass that on?
We'd be happy to work with you on that.
No, I don't want you to work with me. I just want you to send me a letter to that effect. Is that what we're going to have here? I mean, I know you're good, Mr. I got to tell you. Look, if you were a witness, I'd want you on my side as a lawyer. But I'm just asking you, the letter to that effect.
I think that I have actually signed letters to that effect. So I'll look to see what I have, and we'll make sure your questions are answered.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Would the gentleman yield? Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, as I suggested, why don't you have EPA go visit with your electeds and find out directly from them what it is that they need to find out. That way, you don't have to have a letter, because a letter will only explain so much. But if you ask them to come in and explain and show and give you the information, that may help your elected officials.
What information?
Whatever you request in writing from them to come address.
No. The problem is that they are listing water bodies, state water bodies, okay, that are impacted from Mississippi runoff. Just like the majority of coastal Louisiana is being impacted by runoff from 30 other states. And they're holding us accountable in making sure that we have to develop total maximum daily load levels within the state of Louisiana that are not being addressed by all the other states. But she's telling me that it's different. And so if she sends us that letter, and once we have that letter, when EPA comes in and starts demanding that we meet that particular criteria, I can show them that letter and say that we don't have to.
We would welcome the opportunity for dialogue with you about the Gulf of Mexico also, and the strategy through the hypoxia task force to address that.
But I want to address, I certainly do want to address that, but before we get there, which we could have gotten to had you not impacted these 3 other water bodies, listed these 3 other. So I want to get rid of those 3 other water bodies, or address those, and then we're going to address the hypoxia in the dead zone, which has been there for the last 20 years or so. So I mean, if it can't be that important to you all because we've been having that problem for the last 20 years.
I agree that there's more work to be done there. And addressing the loadings from the state of Louisiana is a start, but to address the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico, we do need to address loadings throughout the
But to address that, you've got to address the 32 other states above us.
But everyone has a piece of that from the whole watershed. Absolutely.
Okay.